Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of podcast. My voice is a little lower than usual. I'm getting over the cold from last week, and today it's just hitting me right in the vocal cords, I guess. But, oh, got stuck between these two cars that were both parked rather close. But I might have to cut today's short because I'm not doing the best talking right now, but I feel fine other than my throat it's not hurting. I just keep having this drainage, and my vocal cords are making me cough when I talk a lot. But anyway, oh, well, our hot water heater started leaking over this past weekend. It started on Friday, actually, but apparently the bottom had just completely rusted and was starting to leak. And our leasing company for the apartment, our landlords, apparently almost didn't allow so they hired a plumber to come take a look at it, and then almost didn't allow the plumber to fix it because they said it was going to be too expensive. So they were going to look for something else, or like call somebody else and get a second opinion, essentially, which is just ridiculous. Like, somebody tells you the hot water heater is rusting through, and you say, I need a second opinion. But yeah, they came through eventually, and after a couple of hours, we got a call back saying it was approved, and so they came, and I'm on my way home now, so I'll see whether or not it's fixed when I get there. But I got a text saying it should be done, so hopefully we're all good to go now. But it just, with the landlord at the place we're living in now, it's a company as opposed to an individual person. But it has been real rough. Just every time we've had to do something with them since we moved in, it's been delays and just them saying, oh, we need to get this done this way or that way, or oh, that's too expensive, or oh, we can't get it in time. It's just always something. And I was just talking to my wife earlier today. We were talking about the last apartment we lived in. Well, it's like a duplex kind of, but we had to move because there was a staircase in it, and it was the way the staircase was situated. We wouldn't have been able to make it safe for our daughter to walk around. And so pretty much we couldn't let her learn how to walk by the stairs because there was no way to cut off the stairs from the rest of the house, because the banister was like where she could have reached it, and I would have had to. It would have been very difficult to baby proof, and so we just ended up deciding to move. And because we were kind of wanting to get out of the middle of the city and somewhere a little less busy. And then we wanted a third bedroom as well, since we were going to have the baby. We wanted to have a kids room, our room, and also a office area, pretty much. Well, I say office, but really craft and hobby room. But anyway, so yeah, we decided to move. But at our last place, our landlord lived on the other half of the duplex. And every single time we had an issue, she was there within the hour to fix it herself. And anytime she couldn't fix it, she, while standing in the apartment with us, called somebody and scheduled them to come fix it. Like, it was amazing. She was always there. I thought that was just like normal landlord stuff until I actually started talking to other people about it. And apparently, landlords are usually on the side of, that's too expensive. We can just let it leak for a day while we figure out what the cheapest option available is. And so my wife and I were both saying we definitely miss having a landlord who was very on top of maintenance, repairs, and just making sure we had everything we needed. And we didn't realize quite what we had till we moved and had a less receptive landlord. But the uh, first place we rented, well, we got married in college, and my wife was renting a place, and we both kind of moved in there temporarily, and then moved into some on-campus apartments they had available. So those were a little different because one was short, and then the other was on a campus, so they kind of have to be a little more attentive, and they have more staff ready to help. But even then, they weren't great about responding quickly. But then on the first place we lived, like our own place, more or less, was in an apartment complex. And we didn't really have any issues. It was a pretty new building at the time. I think we moved in there in 2021, I want to say. Either we moved in there 2020 or 2021. And it was built in like 2018. So it was very new. So there were not really any issues much to speak of. The only time I really remember having any issues was like our dryer wasn't drying great, and it took them a little bit to get out to fix it, but it wasn't exactly an emergency, so I didn't really care. But yeah, it's definitely been a lot different in this place because we've just not had the familiar receptiveness of a good landlord, and we're definitely missing that. But hopefully they got the hot water heater fixed. But we'll see when I get back. But I think that's about all the talking I have in me for right now. So I will continue this tomorrow. Hello and welcome to part 2 of this week's episode. Man, I am definitely feeling a lot better in the throat today. Uh, I can actually talk, but I've been coughing a lot more today than I was yesterday. But I can talk today and I couldn't yesterday. It's weird. But I got some cough drops, so it's not been too bad. Oh, but it was pretty busy all this morning, but then it kind of slowed down toward the end of the day. And about 4 o'clock, oh, I have way too many things to do still, but I was entering transactions, which takes a long time and is very repetitive. And then I just was sitting there and started nodding off at my desk, so I had to get up and walk around for a minute. But other than that, it was just kind of the same old, same old. But yeah. So last week, and I think it was Friday. I might have mentioned it even, but I got a little antenna that's supposed to work with your phone to pick up local over air TV channels. And I got it because it had good reviews. And then come to find out, all the reviews were from 4 or 5 years ago when the app was still usable, and the app has not been updated since then. And there have been so many changes to Android OS that it is literally impossible to run that app on a modern phone. You have to have a phone that hasn't been updated for almost 5 years in order to run the app that is required, because they didn't make it so that it could run on any other app. It has to be their app. And so not only is it have to be their app, but it's not supported anymore. And I even went to third-party websites to get that app, but it still just was not available. But just after all of that, I'm gonna have to return it, because turns out it just does not work at all with my phone. And so I'm going to have to return that. And I was looking at other options, trying to see if there were any that worked. But as far as I can tell, there are no other options that are really up to date. And I did a little research on it, and apparently in Japan, they are required to add a chip to your phone that can accept those signals from over the air television so that they can tune into emergency broadcasts on their phone. Apparently, that's just a legal requirement in Japan, at least according to one article I saw. And so most modern phones are fully capable of doing it, but they just choose not to put that chip in the US just because, I guess. But it's just ridiculous. It's another one of those things where it feels like people large businesses intentionally make products worse so that they can sell you other things and charge you more money for it. And I think probably a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of the phone manufacturers have deals with all these other uh, broadcasting corporations, and so if you want to have your phone on AT&T, AT&T is going to say, well, we own all these broadcasting networks, so you can't let those do over the air to your phone, because then they wouldn't be using our service, and so we wouldn't make the money from it. Yada yada yada. And it just feels like that's one of those things that you just run into over and over and over again, where it's just inconvenient because it makes somebody else a few bucks, not because it's actually needed or for any real reason other than it's just somebody wanted to make some money off of you at this point, so that nobody else helps to get around that. Oh, there's just so many things where it feels like that happens these days, where you can tell that something's specifically been left for somebody else to come in and make some money off of it. And one thing that really started annoying me was they've started putting a lot of NFL football games on streaming services or on other channels that are not free over the air anymore. So you can only watch about 80% of the NFL games over the air. You have to catch the other ones on a variety of different streaming services. And like last year, they started the Prime Video Thursday night games, which was annoying enough. Luckily, I do have Amazon just because we end up using it for a lot of things. And like, they stopped selling humidifier filters in town in the size for the humidifier we bought just a few years ago. So now we have to order those online. Anyway, it was a little annoying, but not too inconvenient for us at least to watch those. But then they started doing the big Christmas game on Netflix, and the Thanksgiving game is, I think, going to be on a streaming service this year. And then, I think there was like 5 random games on other streaming services just for no reason, really. And then there was, they're adding more Monday night games, but only on ESPN, whereas usually they're on ABC locally. These ones, they are not putting on ABC, they're only making them available on ESPN, which means you either need a cable TV service or you need ESPN's streaming app, which is, of course, another $15 every single month, which is just getting ridiculous. And it feels like you can't even choose 1 or 2 streaming apps anymore, because, like, really, we only have Disney and Prime Video, and we mainly have Prime for the we mainly have it for the other parts of it, like the shipping and stuff, and they do some like free audiobooks that I listen to sometimes, but the that one we don't really use as much. We really just have Disney Plus because they have all the Winnie the Pooh and Star Wars, which I watch all the Star Wars, and our daughter watches all the Winnie the Pooh, and then we have YouTube. We pay for the ad-free YouTube because that's where we get Sesame Street and my daughter's favorite show, Little Bear, which we watch before bedtime or nap time sometimes, but usually just once it gets close to bedtime, we'll turn that on. So, like, the last hour of the day, we'll have Little Bear on. And it's a great old show. But, yeah, so we cut it down to pretty much just that. And then, but because we could choose to just watch those few things, but now it feels like even like NFL is splitting it so that you have to get multiple streaming services to watch all their games, and they actually have an NFL streaming service, but you can't watch all the games on there because some of them are exclusive, and I think they're getting a little too caught up in money hungry and the streaming rights to all their games, and so it's no longer just about making sure their games are out there. Now they're using the network rights to make money. And that's a whole different thing. But that's all the time we have for today, so I'll continue this tomorrow. Hello, and welcome back to part 3, I believe, of this week's podcast. Yeah, I guess it is Wednesday. So that would definitely make it part 3. Yeah, my throat's still not feeling great. Oh, forgot I left the radio on. Anyway, my throat's still not feeling amazing. I keep coughing again, but it is a little better than it was yesterday. So that's good at least. But still might need a little bit of time before we get it all out of there. Oh, but last night I was putting together a fireplace screen because for some reason our apartment has a fireplace, but there is no screen installed. So I guess that they just kind of don't really care that much if the whole place burns down. I know it's not really 100% necessary, but I didn't want to do a fire until we had a screen. I didn't really want to do a fire until we had a screen, even if it was fine and there was no fire hazard, because I have a toddler and a dog that'll get up in the fireplace. But anyway, so I got a fireplace screen and was putting it together, and they sent us the wrong parts. Like, there are 8 panels on it that kind of form these 4 bigger panels, 2 of which are the doors that open and close, and then 2 of which are just on the side. And the ones on the side hold the feet in place and have the channels that the doors run through. But they, for some reason, sent double of the right side uh, panels instead of the left. And so the fireplace is not, the screen is not quite sitting right, because there's about an inch long little holder for the doors to roll in that is on the wrong side on one of them. But either this weekend or next week sometime, I'm going to have to just drill a hole, because literally the only difference in the panels is where 3 holes are. So there's 3 holes. So there's 2 holes in the, there's like these little brackets that go into the part that holds it in the middle, and the bottom one has 2 holes, the top one has 1 hole, and so there's an extra hole there, and then 2 holes to put the foot through that holds it upright. And so the, like, pretty much the only thing that makes it asymmetrical is the holes in it. And so it's kind of weird that they made it in a way that means you have to have it, like, they made it left versus right when they could have been identical, pretty much. Because there isn't really a reason, other than I guess it costs more to add an extra 1 inch to put the second screw in the top as well as the bottom. But really, they could have done that and added another screw, and then just put the holes and put the holes for the footer in the both sides, because they're meant to go over the edge of the fireplace anyway, so they shouldn't really be, there shouldn't be an issue. And they're small holes anyway, like the screen has holes in it to let airflow through, so it's like there is no reason those extra holes shouldn't be there. And I feel like it would make it easier if you only had 3 types of panels instead of 8. But they specifically made it so that it does require 8 completely, well, not completely different, but 8 non-interchangeable panels. And so they're going to run into problems like this in packaging, where, like, they could have just put, really, the middle ones, the only difference is there's an extra hole for the handle in one specific corner. And if they had just put that on the top and bottom and then made them reversible, because they have the screen more on one side than the other, and if they would have just put the screen in the middle and then put a hole in the top and bottom, it would be completely reversible. And then done what I was talking about earlier on the outside panels, they could have made it where they have 2 types of panels and you need 4 of each. But instead, they made it so that you have to have 8 different panels. And it's just a very weird design choice, in my opinion. I guess it makes it look a lot neater that there's not these extra holes, but it makes it so much harder for them to manufacture, because they have to have it done differently on 8 lines instead of just having 2 lines running simultaneously. So they have to do 4 times the amount of prep, and then for the panels, and it's just, I feel like it's made by somebody who wanted to do something that is well designed, but not caring all that much about the design at the same time. And so it's like having the 8 individual panels makes it look just a little bit better. But in order to look a little bit better, they make it way harder on themselves to manufacture and package. And so it kind of just, feels like it is a weird mix of somebody trying to do better, but not quite getting the idea of the process down quite. And it's just like this weird mix of, I feel like it is made really well because it's like welded metal parts. And it's all metal, and it's like it's a nice cover for the fireplace, but it's just like, it's so close to being very utilitarian and easy to set up, to the point where it's just like, oh yeah, this is just a DIY kit. But then they went that extra step to make it look just like maybe 5% better or less, but made it so much harder on themselves in the process, when really they could have probably done it for cheaper and sold it for the same amount and not really had any real impact on the way people thought it looked by having 3 or 4 extra holes visible. Well, I guess it would be 4 for the handles and an extra 1, 2, 3, 4 on the outside. So 8 extra holes in a thing that is already completely full of holes, specifically designed in there. It just is such a weird kind of thing to me, that, because maybe that's one of those things that I just, when I design something like that or try and do something, I make it, if I see a way I could accidentally do it wrong, I kind of try and build in the ability to reverse it. Like having things reversible for me feels really helpful for any product, really. But it's just very strange that they went so far and clearly spent a lot of time and effort on it, but then just dropped the ball on such an easy thing to make it so much better for the customer and for themselves. But I guess it's not how everybody thinks, and there may be some manufacturing process that makes it harder I'm not thinking of or don't know about. But anyway, that's all the time we have for today, so continue this next time.